I'm also not giving you my name, and I'm not giving you my shoulder number.
No.
I will wager you've never filed a lawsuit in anyone. I will wager.
Welcome to the Audit Assessor, where we break down real encounters between the public and the police, looking closely at the law, officer conduct, and the context behind every interaction, so you can better understand your rights, their responsibilities, and where those boundaries actually sit. This breakdown is made possible thanks to Plodding Along, who allowed us to review this footage. So be sure to check out his channel, support his work, and follow the link in the description to his videos. In this episode, Plodding Along is filming outside a police station when an inspector arrives already visibly tense and immediately tries to take control of the situation. But instead of sticking to proper procedure, he relies on attitude, overlooks his own code of practice, and starts asserting authority that doesn't actually exist in this context. What stands out here is how little escalation is needed from the auditor. No shouting or confrontation, just steady and precise questioning that quietly dismantles every claim being made, until eventually the inspector is left without justification, no explanation, no enforcement, and ultimately walks away having undermined his own position through his own actions.
You're actually on privately run grounds, so it's a police station.
I
So
see.
if you'd like to
Would
come
that be
to the public
private?
area,
Would that be privately run on the basis that it's publicly funded?
yeah, but that's not relevant to the fact that it's public infrastructure. If you accompany me to the
It's
public
highly
park-
relevant. Hold on. It's
No,
highly relevant.
You're
It's highly-
trespassing on the police station.
Okay.
Do you have a?
Is
do you-
trespass a civil or a
do
legal
you-
matter?
Do you have?
Is trespass a civil or
Do you
a
have a
legal
request
matter?
of the police?
Yes, answer the question. Is trespass a civil or police matter?
Do you have a request?
I'll answer the question for the benefit of my viewers.
I think
it's a
what you're
civil
here
matter.
to do is to ask silly
It's
questions.
a civil matter. It only
for a
becomes a
video
police
that
matter when it's
nobody's gonna be
aggravated
interested in.
trespass.
If you could
you
turn
do me
around
one
and leave
favour
the
just to
premises,
carry on with this
They're
consensual
a
conversation? Provide me with
working
three
here.
forms of address.
Provide you with three forms of address.
identity, my apologies.
I think you are asking some irrelevant questions,
And I'll do it myself.
and
Oh, look at your rank. Oh, dear me, you
I
know
think-
better than that, sir.
I think you're asking questions which aren't relevant.
Here we are, on duty covering
What I'm not going to
identification.
do, because you don't.
Could you, for the benefit of the audience, say what those two diamonds represent in your rank?
What
'Cause
they
I know.
represent is that
I
I'm
know.
asking you.
The inspector first labels the location as private property, then brushes aside the fact it's publicly funded when that weakens his argument, before shifting to a claim of trespass. Plodding Along counters this by grounding it in basics. Trespass is usually a civil issue unless specific conditions apply. So the question of whether police should be involved is straightforward rather than confrontational. At the same time, the inspector withholds his own identification, creating an uneven situation where demands are being made outward while accountability is kept off the table.
Do you have a reason to be on
Right now
police
I do.
premises?
Right now I do. It's to identify you.
As we haven't met, I'm wondering why you're being so
Then
hostile
introduce
with me.
yourselves.
Come to the public area.
If we played police bingo today, we've got hostile, private ground when it's public. A lot of people ticking boxes
Sorry.
at the moment. It is cliche corner, isn't it? Stick within the bounds of the law. Identify yourself. You're in uniform. That's
What
the
I'm not gonna
second
do-
formal offer. You have the
What I'm not
opportunity
gonna
to
do
redress
is have
your
have
error
a silly conversation
for the third and final
with
time
somebody
before it
who's
goes on
standing at the
record.
front of an office building.
On the record, for the
For
third and
reasons
final
that-
time, will you identify
that-
yourself
no,
while you're in the
I-
course of your duty?
What I'm not going to do
Yes or no?
is I'm not going to give you permission to
Okay,
put
you're not
this
identifying
video
yourself. This is no longer a
onto
consensual conversation.
onto the internet.
I will take it up with your
You
superiors.
don't have permission to put that video on the internet. You don't have my personal permission.
Tell me the law that precludes me from
You're
doing
not
it.
in a public place.
Tell me the law that precludes me from doing it.
I'm telling you that I'm not giving you personal permission to put
Don't
any
need it.
video
Don't
onto the
need it.
internet.
Don't need it.
But just so that you know,
Did you watch the two?
because
Did
that
you watch
is
the
relevant.
Twin Towers come down?
That is
Did you watch
relevant.
the Twin Towers come down?
Goodness me.
Did you?
You're one of these. Okay.
Oh, one of these. Bingo
are.
time, boys. Here we go.
You're going to tell me that the police knocked the Twin Towers down or something like that? aren't you?
The hostile label appears only once the inspector starts losing control of the exchange, even though Plodding Along's tone stays calm and consistent throughout. That composure, however, gets reframed as a problem because it can't be pressured into compliance. The inspector then goes further by suggesting he needs personal permission for the footage to be published, which isn't supported by law, and reads more like an attempt to create authority on the spot. Officers don't have veto power over recording simply because they dislike being filmed. So when consent rules are suddenly invented and calm behavior is labeled hostility, It reflects frustration more than legal standing.
Place, and we can keep talking.
There we go.
At the moment, there's people who are...
Did your constabulary put these council painted lines down?
They have no
What
relevance
do
to
they
public
do?
roads.
They're public. It's publicly funded.
No, this,
1972 Criminal Justice Act,
funded.
Section 33, implied rights of access.
There are signs at the front
Which
that
I've
say
read
that
and I've
no
recorded
public access
and
beyond this
narrated
point.
to, and I haven't
It
been
sounds
anywhere.
like you're an angry man.
Anywhere
You're an
that I
angry
shouldn't
man
be.
who doesn't like public
Do you
services.
think personal insinuation is the way for a senior officer to behave?
This is an observation. You seem to be very angry.
Angry?
You're here on a police station. You clearly don't like the police.
Would you be delighted if your
like
rights were violated?
Back into.
Would you be delighted? No, you
very
wouldn't.
Argumentative, and it's
Oh,
far
that's a
less
crime, isn't it? What
happen to you with the
constitutes
police.
authorisation?
You have a
I'm asking
general
you now, as a
dislike
member of the
public
public.
services.
I work in a public
I
service.
think that you've got a general dislike of the police.
I work in the public service.
Okay.
Telling him to move to a public area is where the inspector starts to contradict himself. And when Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act 1972 is raised as a point about lawful access in areas the public are ordinarily entitled to be, it isn't really addressed. Instead of engaging with that legal point, the inspector falls back on labeling, describing him as an angry man, which shifts the exchange away from law and into personal commentary. More a reaction to losing legal footing than a response grounded in procedure.
People came to where you worked to start arguments with a hostility towards what you do.
They'd be allowed to film and I'd have to identify myself. Firstly, identify yourself as you're
the reason
obligated to do. The reason you're not going to because you're
here
acting
with an axe to grind and you don't like
speculation overruled. Speculation overruled.
Give you public service.
See how this will pan out in court. Speculation overruled.
This won't end up in court.
No, it won't, because your side will settle before it goes there. To make a formal complaint about your lack of identification. I'll take it to the relevant
but
body.
I'm not in public.
I beg. You're on duty.
I'm always on duty.
Exactly, and you have to identify whether you're in plain clothes or not.
I'm not in a public place.
Yes, you are.
I'm not dealing with the public.
Remember, this
you are on private property. So what I'm
this
not going to
debate
do
be taken
is
up
give
by
you a name
solicitors
to put onto the internet for your angry website where you don't like public
angry
services.
website. Classic. This geezer, isn't he?
You don't seem to have any questions. What do you want from this interaction?
Who am I speaking with? You're now obligated under
you're
two
behind a sign
rationales.
that says
Two
no
rationales. Your code of ethics.
access.
Your code of ethics. And your policies.
Please
you're on
tell me
duty.
about the code of ethics.
I think it's the other way around. You need to adhere
Well, you're
to
giving me all the facts.
Look at the ranking
You're
here.
giving me
look
all
at the
the
rank.
facts. What would you like
Look at the rank.
What would you like to
This
talk
is how you
about?
behave.
What would you like to achieve?
They always say shit travels downwards, don't they?
Well,
this is where the inspector moves away from any clear professional standard, refusing to identify himself and justifying it with personal claims about PA not liking public servants, which has no bearing on his actual duties or obligations. Dislike isn't misconduct, and it doesn't remove an officer's responsibility to act transparently. He then repeats the private property argument as if it overrides accountability, even though it doesn't. PA highlights the key point that under the Police Code of Ethics, identification is a core requirement tied to transparency and public trust, not something that depends on location or personal preference.
sensitive site.
Sensitive. Put some soothing lotion on it then if it's sensitive.
So you're funny as well as interesting.
Brilliant, aren't
Every
I?
one of your viewers will find this fascinating. Just don't walk towards my staff because, unlike me, they're
Your
not.
staff?
They're not used. They're not used to people who dislike the police wandering around. Hello, hi. Do you have some identification? You do. If you could wear it when you walk around, that would be very useful.
This is a conversation you're having from a man who refuses to identify, so just take note of the hypocrisy from a senior member of your staff.
If you have no reason to be here, then I'll ask you.
Just see
I'll
the rank
ask you to
hypocrisy
leave.
of your comment then.
Because I'm going to challenge them if they don't have a reason to be here.
Yeah, you reply one rule to them and not to yourself.
Dislike for the police.
That's a.
I don't know why you dislike the
I'll
police.
tell you what that is. That could be construed as slander.
Well, my observations, my personal opinion.
Whilst on duty, you're not here to enforce personal opinions. You're here to enforce the law.
You
Thank you
seem
very
to
much
be-
for saying that on
You
camera.
seem to
Thank
be
you.
rather
Thank
angry.
you. Thank
Please
you.
don't
Thank
walk
you.
towards
Thank you.
where people are working.
And what happens if I do? Sorry, let me rephrase. What happens exactly when I do?
You're well aware that it's
Doing as we speak.
it's a complicated practice, isn't it? It's not a clear principle.
Calling the station a sensitive site at this stage comes across more as a last-minute justification than a consistently applied rule. If that designation were being enforced properly, the same standards would apply universally. Yet staff are seen moving freely without visible ID, and the concern only appears to arise when a camera is present. PA highlights that inconsistency, pointing out the selective nature of the response. The deeper issue is that the inspector appears to be acting on personal discomfort rather than a clearly defined policy, turning the interaction into a matter of preference instead of enforceable rules.
Public access beyond this point. You know
No, it didn't. It said no unauthorised access.
You know full well why we have that. Because of the dangers that police officers face.
Here we go.
And because of the hostilities from people ranging from casual, camera-wielding, angry people who don't like society and have a problem with public services.
I work
through
in public
to violent
service.
acts.
This is brilliant.
Through to violent acts.
Am I committing a violent act?
No, that's
Am
why
I
said
intimidating
through.
you?
So that range.
Am I intimidating you?
If you'd like to be famous, I suggest you come up with some content that has a purpose, or ask a question that you think you might get an answer to.
You're less than Wayne
Populist
Cousins.
rants like this, citing.
You're less than Wayne Cousins.
Bits of information.
Less than Wayne Cousins. He identified.
Now, if a police officer is on duty in public, I'd expect them to identify themselves. I've had to cut
On
out
duty's the key.
because you've brought your angry rhetoric against public
On
service.
duty's the
These are
key.
people who work
On
here,
duty's the
aren't
key.
Bringing up general dangers of policing at this stage comes across as deflection rather than a specific justification for intervention. PA redirects the focus back to the only relevant question: what actual violent act has been committed? And the lack of a clear answer highlights the weakness in relying on broad safety concerns alone. While officer safety is a legitimate issue, it can't be used as a blanket justification to assume threat or override lawful standards. When risk is discussed without specific grounds, it shifts from evidence-based reasoning into a rhetorical shield rather than a lawful basis for action.
These officers may identify themselves because they're on duty. They're in uniform.
You're in uniform.
No, you've come to my office.
So
I
what?
don't face the public.
You
and
are
I
now.
work in an area that none of the public
You're
have
facing
access.
a member of the public right now,
So
but you have
also
no
then
right to
move on
remove me.
No, I said that I'm not going to.
You have no right to.
Well, let's talk about it
You've
in
argued
private,
trespass.
in a
Trespass.
public place.
Trespass is a civil matter.
It is,
If it's aggravated trespass, you're more than welcome.
You're standing in front of a building,
Said building.
which you don't have a right to stand in front
Standing.
of. And the moment you start
Untrue.
intimidating staff coming in and out
I'm not
of the main
intimidating
exit
anybody. That's
by
a
your
false accusation.
presence,
You're making a false
then
accusation
it
on
will become
record.
an aggravated trespass.
You're making a false
You're
accusation.
standing in front of the double security door
False
to some
accusation.
infrastructure which carries a risk and a
False
threat.
reporting is a
If
crime
those
under the
staff-
1967
if those
Criminal Act.
staff
You do
are
realise that, don't
intimidated
you?
by your presence, then you'll find yourself liable to be dealt with under aggravated trespass,
Yeah.
which is a criminal intent. So I'm going to leave you with the officers who are on duty.
You're going- for final
while you
time,
try
you're going
and
to-
intimidate my
Are you
staff
trying
with your
to-
angry
for the final
rhetoric, which
time?
we've heard so many times.
Then learn the
It's
lessons.
called conspiracy
Learn.
theories.
And
And people are very
Are
enthusiastic
you going to
about
identify
it.
yourself, sir?
No, sir.
Accusing PA of intimidation feels like a final attempt to escalate the situation when there's no clear evidence of any actual misconduct. From what's shown, there's no obstruction or disruptive behavior, just filming and remaining stationary. Yet it's being reframed as something far more serious, like aggravated trespass, which legally requires deliberate interference rather than mere presence or recording. That kind of escalation suggests the label is being used to strengthen a position that hasn't held up under scrutiny, shifting the framing from lawful activity to perceived threat without a solid factual basis.
If you
Well,
stand
that's-
out the front of this building, then you may be committing an aggravated trespass because through
Who's the injured party?
harassment and
Who's the injured party?
If you let me finish,
Who's the injured party?
If you let me
Who's
finish.
the injured party?
I will answer that question with words.
Member of staff.
If you'll
They're on
let
duty.
me-
They
if
cannot
you
be
let me-
harassed,
if
alarmed,
you
and
let me-
distressed.
If
No.
you let me,
We've played
if you
bingo
let me
before.
Stand out
And they're
the
on
front.
duty.
If you stand out the front, intimidating them to prevent them doing their lawful activity,
If-
coming to work,
if
then you'll
speculative.
find yourself liable.
Have I committed that offence?
You'll find yourself
Am I suspected of committing
You'll
that
find
offence?
yourself liable to
This lawsuit's going
aggravated
up and up and up, isn't it?
I will wager you've never filed a lawsuit in anyone. I will wager.
And that's on record, folks.
I'll leave you with these officers.
Please don't
Go and
circle
enjoy
around,
your
sir.
YouTube channel. I hope your viewer likes watching it. Please leave the
Would
premises.
you like to identify yourself?
No, sir.
And that's his final word.
The wording "may be committing aggravated trespass" becomes the key point because it suggests seriousness without clearly establishing any specific act, victim, or disruption. PA keeps the focus on structure rather than emotion, asking who has actually been obstructed or harmed. and no clear answer is given because there's no obvious interference with lawful activity shown. Aggravated trespass requires intent to disrupt, not proximity or discomfort. And without that element, the allegation starts to lose definition. Instead of grounding the claim in facts, the discussion shifts into hypotheticals and tone, which weakens the basis for escalation. By the end, with no clear foundation for the accusation, the inspector disengages and withdraws, leaving the exchange unresolved but exposed through lack of supporting evidence.